I was sweating throughout the entire film. It was amazing.
It's really hard for me to grasp why he wants this. But if he doesn't do this stuff, he'd regret it.
Everybody who has made free soloing a big part of their life is dead now.
Yeah, it made me a lot more high profile and sort of opened up all kinds of work opportunities and like TV opportunities, things like this. It's made being a good climber harder though, because it just, you have more demands on your time. Well, it's interesting because the film Free Solo was shot during the first 2 years of our relationship when we were first dating. And then after I did the climb, they finished filming. Then there was a year of post-production, and then there was the film release, which was a totally insane, media journey. I was basically like doing 6 months of events and things, and so that was all a bit of a strain on the relationship as well, because it was like nonstop travel and just like so much public exposure and like going to the Oscar, going to the BAFTAs, like meeting Prince William, yeah, for Cascade. Yeah, which is totally incredible. The BAFTAs, they were like so regal and charismatic, and it was, so we had all these crazy experiences, like. And then we sort of settled into normal life. So I think that then you ask if it stressed the relationship. You're like, yeah, of course it did, because we were just starting to date. But then, we got married a year or two later, and now we have babies. And, now it's like 8 years in, and it's a totally great relationship. Oh, I just love climbing. I mean, it's interesting now raising a daughter, because you see some of that is just innate, like hardwired human behavior. It's just fun to climb on things. But I think that for most kids, that gets sort of ground out of them by adults telling them not to, or because it's dangerous, or whatever, or they hurt themselves and they get afraid of it, or who knows what. But for whatever reason, I've just held on to that childlike love of climbing my entire life.
These days, younger generations are sort of more risk averse, or their parents are, I guess, and parents and teachers. Do you think we've become too risk averse in that way?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean,
you'll be letting your children climb trees, I guess.
Yeah, no, we let our daughter. I mean, the thing is, I don't want my daughter to get hurt, but I'm willing. But there's a big difference between getting a boo-boo, getting an ouchie, like, oh, I fell over and I like hurt myself a little bit, versus like mortal peril, and so like I don't want to see my daughter suffer permanent injury, and I don't want, obviously I don't want her to die. But if she tips things onto herself, or she gets smushed under something, or she hurts herself a little bit and cries a bit, like that's kind of fine. Like she's not gonna remember, I'm not gonna remember. Like, yeah, it's like basically nobody cares. Not to sound callous about it, but so I think that my duty as a parent is to constantly evaluate risk for her, because she can't yet, because she doesn't, her brain isn't even formed in that way yet, and to make sure that she's taking the appropriate levels of risk. To make sure that she can't really hurt herself, like she can't fall off a cliff. Like we go and play on the rocks all the time, like where we climb here, and there's, scrambling opportunities. And she loves like clambering on things. And so the key is to allow her to do whatever she wants to do without actually hurting herself. It's fine. I mean, certainly you have times when you're like, oh, van life, it's so simple, it's so wonderful. But I mean, family life is also wonderful in its own ways. I mean, I think that I've made intentional choices with my life. Living in the van is the best possible way to climb full time. Though now actually we live in a place where I'm still climbing as many days a week, or still climbing as much as I want to, but it just allows me to have a family as well, and to have, good community for my family. We live in Las Vegas. Everybody knows Las Vegas for the gambling, but it's the best four-season climbing in the country, in the US. It's incredible climbing destination. The city of Las Vegas is kind of in a bowl of mountains, and the mountains have climbing all over them and various things. And so within like a 15-minute drive of the house, you can climb world-class rock year round. Yeah. So we still, like this season, we were in the van for 3 or 4 weeks in Yosemite in the fall. We still camp out of the van, a couple times a year for cool trips, but obviously with the full family, it's just it's a little more complicated.